Parliamentary corridors are abuzz with the term one nation, one election. Now, the BJP is firmly back to the concept of one nation, one election, reiterating that they will ensure it becomes a reality. The ruling party says it saves time and money. Nearly 24 parties led by the Congress have called it impractical and unnecessary. Let's explain to you exactly what one nation, one election is all about. What exactly is one nation, one election? In essence, it envisions conducting simultaneous elections for both Lok Sabha and state assemblies throughout the country in one go. The proposal suggests a two-phase approach. First, elections for the Lok Sabha and state assemblies, followed by local body polls. But the second phase should happen within 100 days. Currently, elections for state assemblies and the Lok Sabha take place independently, as I'm sure you all know, either upon the completion of a 5-year term for the existing government or in the case of dissolution due to various reasons. Let's take you through the history of simultaneous elections. This concept actually is not new to India. Now, the concept of simultaneous elections dates back to the first general elections in 1951-52, which coincided with all Vidhan Sabha polls, with all state polls. This practice continued right up until 1967, when hung assemblies disrupted the trend and the timing. In 1983, the Election Commission then suggested that maybe we should go back to simultaneous elections. And then in 2003, the idea came up again. Then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee took up the matter with the then Congress President Sonia Gandhi. But there wasn't much headway made then. Again in 2010, again it was the BJP that put forward the initiative or took the step forward with L.K. Advani saying that he had discussed the matter with the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. Over the years, you've seen a lot of talk about this. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been advocating for the idea of simultaneous Lok Sabha and state assembly polls clearly, which is why a high-level committee headed by former President Ram Nath Kovind was formed on September 2nd, 2023. So according to the roadmap presented by this committee that's headed by Ram Nath Kovind, simultaneous elections will require 18 amendments to existing laws, including 15 amendments to the Constitution, which fundamentally doesn't allow simultaneous polls. 5 articles in the Constitution and the Representation of People Act of 1951 would have to be amended. And for this, every recognized state and national party would have to agree to the change. So it is a tough ask for the BJP to get a go-ahead. Now, for a constitutional amendment, 2/3 of the House must be present for the vote. A consensus of all political parties, of state governments, importantly, is also needed. After the constitutional amendment bill is passed in Parliament, it needs to be ratified by half the states in India through resolutions in their assemblies. So not just Parliament, assemblies also need to give the go-ahead. As per the Kovind panel, out of 62 parties that they approached, 47 responded with their views. 32 backed simultaneous polls, 15 opposed it. Besides the BJP, Shiv Sena, JDU, the AIA, DMK, the BJD, the Akali Dal, among others, have backed one nation, one election in their communication to the panel. The Congress, Aam Aadmi Party, Trinamool Congress, Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam, Samajwadi Party, among other parties, have opposed the same. Many parties didn't respond then to the committee's query and have now spoken out either for or against the move. And even the ones I've listed here have been known to change their stance based on really how their alliance or allegiance has shifted. So apart from the legal and the constitutional challenges, including ensuring necessary support from political parties, another monumental task would be actually syncing the terms of various state legislative assemblies with those of the Lok Sabha with minimum disruption to governance. Obviously, state terms end at very different times, which is why literally all year round you have elections happening. There's still no real clarity on how to deal with breaks due to dissolution of houses, president's rule, or even a hung assembly or parliament, in which case then a state will have to go into elections earlier and thereby the entire sync again goes out. Additionally, there is a worry that regional issues might get overshadowed by the national issues, affecting the electoral outcome at the state level. Also, regional political parties would not be able to compete with national parties when it comes to election expenditure and strategy. And these are some issues that regional parties have voiced. Another area of concern that they've put up is the recurring cost of procuring EVMs, electronic voting machines. This, the poll panel has said, will be nearly 10,000 crore rupees every 15 years. So then the question that comes up is, why is BJP pushing for one nation, one election if there are so many challenges? Well, those who back this particular reform often underline that once implemented, it would bring down the overall expense, the overall expenditure on the electoral process. As per reports, a staggering 1.35 lakh crore rupees was actually spent to conduct the 2024 Lok Sabha election. The government hopes a one-shot election will also likely boost voter turnout, making it convenient for the electorate to cast their ballot in one go, one shot, and it's done for. Another argument favouring simultaneous polls is that it will lead to a more efficient administration. During elections, the entire state machinery focuses on conducting a free and fair electoral process. And obviously that means everyday administration takes a back seat because officials are engaged in polling duties. The frequent imposition of the model code of conduct leads to policy paralysis, delaying developmental programs because nothing can move when the code of conduct is in place. Now, you've heard the arguments for and against one nation, one election. Let's see how, in fact, this issue progresses and how the BJP, if they push forward with this, actually ensures to get all parties on board.